by worshiping God together.
The atmosphere is changing now. For the Spirit of the Lord is here. The evidence is all around. For the Spirit of the Lord is here. The evidence is all around. For the Spirit of the Lord is here. In this world we wait for the day we're standing face to face. As this world keeps changing, we are grateful, Lord, you stay the same. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Where you lead, I will follow you, God. Follow you. You are worthy, God. Worthy
Yes, God is good, is he not? One of the great things about God is that he brings all people together. It says in the Bible, all tribes, nations, and tongues, that he's the king of all of us, that he brings us together. So we're going to celebrate that. We're going to celebrate that in this next song. So sing with us. When you move, darkness runs for cover. And when you move, no one's turned away. 'Cause where you are, fear turns into praises. And where you are, no heart's left unchanged. Hey! So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. When you move, the outcast finds a family. Yeah. And when you move, the orphan finds a home. Lord, here we are. Oh, teach us to love mercy. With humble hearts, we bow down at your throne. Let's go. So come, move. So come, move. Let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. Oh, so come, move. Let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. Sing this with us. Sing, King of all generations. King of all generations. Let every tongue and nation surrender all to you alone, Jesus. Sing that again. Sing of all generations, let every tongue and nation surrender all to you alone, to you alone. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. Oh, yeah, come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. Wow, so good. Would you pray with me real quick? Lord, we are so thankful to be a part of the community that you have brought together, Lord. People that come from different backgrounds and come with different burdens, Lord, but you see them all and you hear us all. So, Lord, we ask that you just be with us now, teach us what a little bit more of your justice looks like, Lord, for the whole world, how you plan to bring us all together and how we can see your goodness in those things, Lord, as we learn a little bit more about you. We love you so much, Lord Jesus Christ. We ask all these things in your name. Amen. If you'll have a seat. turn around, see someone that you don't know, just go say hi to them.
Well, good morning. It's so great to see you all interacting and meeting one another this morning. We're glad that you're here. My name is Jill. I'm the Manhattan Beach campus pastor. Thanks for joining us in this room. Also, hey to everyone online. So glad that you're joining us wherever you are. If you're new to Journey of Faith or if you have some questions about getting involved, we would love to connect with you. So the best way that you can do that is by using the link on the screen, or you can scan the QR codes with your phone. We also have an amazing team of volunteers and staff that are out at our Connect area, and after service you can pop by over there, but you can fill out that form and then someone from our staff will follow up with you. Also, it is not too late to sign up for our Summer Journey Kids Camp. It is called Ready, Set, Move, and it is a really fun and action-packed week, and every kid there really learns and understands what it means to follow Jesus with their lives. At the age that they are, as they are on the move, they can put their faith into practice and they can show others how their life is different for loving Jesus. So if you want to sign up for that, it's not too late. If someone comes to mind that you could invite to Journey Kids Camp, we do have a couple of invite cards back at the Connect area. Just grab one of those as you leave, pass that to them so that they can be a part of this awesome week. And now many of you know that a couple of weeks ago, we did our largest outreach of the year. It's called Feed My Starving Children. And that was an awesome event. Always gets a couple of woos when we talk about it. So thank you so much to those of you who were able to serve at that, and also thanks to those of you who were able to give. The gifts that you give to Journey of Faith become a part of these great events that we get to put on. And so all of the food and the different supplies that it took to make this huge global impact were possible because of that giving. And so there's a couple of ways that you can give here at Journey of Faith. Online at journeyoffaith.com, you can give once or set up reoccurring giving. We also have some offering boxes that are located in the room that you could put those in today. And however you give, thank you so much for joining us on our mission to help people change the world around them. So in just a few minutes, Pastor Jason is going to come out to give us our message. But before that, we have a really great recap video from that event, Feed My Starving Children. So let's watch this together.
Hey Journey family, Alicia here, and I am over at our Torrance campus where we are getting ready to pack hundreds of thousands of meals for kids all over the world. Let's go take a look. What are you guys doing here today?
We are packing for the starving children of the world, and we're all enjoying and appreciating all we can do, and hopefully they will enjoy the fruits of our labor.
I'm here to help children who are struggling with starvation.
We just love serving as a family.
What is the best part about these events?
Just the energy of being at Journey of Faith and giving back all in the name of the Lord. It's just amazing.
My name is Shadrach Ralph. I am the development advisor for Feed My Starving Children. You guys literally set the precedence of what a mobile pack is. And we absolutely love the energy that you guys bring. So this is absolutely amazing.
Tell me what you have in your hand right now.
A bag to give the people who don't have a lot of food.
The fact that we're able to give back, I think that's what our mission is.
I think it's just an easy event to get the whole family out together on a Friday night, and it's an awesome way to give back.
Wow, what an incredible event. Because of you guys, hundreds of thousands of meals are on their way right now to kids all over the world. So whether you prayed for this event or you gave money to make sure that this event could happen, or you came out and you packed with us, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you so much. And if you didn't get a chance to do so, I'll see you next year.
Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to Journey of Faith. I'm Jason Cusick. I'm the lead pastor here at the church. And right now we're connected with our Torrance campus, so I want to say hi to everybody at Torrance, as well as those of you that are watching us online. If you're new with us, thanks so much for being here. I'm really excited. Today, we're starting a 5-week series of messages that I've been wanting to share with you for quite a long time. It's called Lenses, and this series is about how understanding the Bible can help us see God more clearly. And the analogy is that in the physical world, we have different lenses, like lenses in binoculars and microscopes and telescopes and even kaleidoscopes that help us see the world in unique ways. Well, that's how the different genres of literature work in the Bible. The Bible is one book made up of 66 different books, and there are different genres of literature in the Bible. And when we read through those genres, we can see God more clearly, we can understand each other more clearly, and we can figure out how to live for God. Now, when I say genre, let me just clarify what I mean. The word genre means a category of artistic composition, like music or film or literature, characterized by similarity in form, style, or subject matter. That is the driest and most boring way to understand genre. So let's have a little bit of fun. Today we're going to play a game together that I just made up called, let's say it together, Name That Genre. All right, so I'm going to give you the form, the structure, or the subject matter, and you tell me the genre. You already know how to do this. We'll jump right in. We'll start off with music genres, okay? I'm going to give you the content of a music genre, and you tell me what genre it is, okay? Here it is. This form of music talks about broken relationships, alcohol, and pickup trucks. Country, that's right. We got country. All right, you already know how to do it, right? All right, here's another one. A lot of improvisation related to swing music, started in New Orleans. Jazz, that's right. Here's one. Heavy drums, loudness, and some guitar distortion. That's right, Journey of Faith worship team. No, it could be rock or metal or something like that. All right, let's switch over to movie genres. Okay, here's some movie genres. In these movies, there's fictional creatures and once upon a time. Fairy tale, fantasy, right, that genre? Here's another one. Young adults in a remote place, only one survives. It's like horror is what I was going for. That's probably, here's another one related to that. Middle-aged adults in a remote place and someone solves a crime. Murder, mystery, whodunit, things like that. Here's a very specific movie genre that's only about 10 or 15 years old. Car chases and explosions, but physics and gravity are ignored. Fast and Furious movies. That's right. A lot of you got that one. You're like, that's not how cars work. You can't just jump from one car over a bridge or something like that. We already know how genres work. We know how genres work in music. We know how they work in movies. We have favorite genres. And actually, when you know the genre, you kind of know what you're listening for, and you know how to interpret what you're seeing or hearing. The genre helps you with that. Well, what is true about genres in other areas is true of the Bible. The Bible actually contains about 6 genres. So let me show you a bookcase that kind of lays this out. This is all the books of the Bible, Old and New Testament, and it starts off with the genre of law. And then it moves into the genre of narratives, and that is stories, historical stories. Then we have what's called poetry or wisdom literature, and there are rules for understanding how to read poetry and wisdom literature. Then there is a good section of the Old Testament that's prophecy, and that is a unique genre. Then we have a genre that is unique to the Bible called Gospels. And we have 4 books in the Bible, and Gospels are a summary of Jesus' life and teachings. And then really almost the rest of the New Testament is the genre of letters. And we know how to read a letter. we kind of intuitively understand what a letter is about, but there's rules for reading it. So what we're going to do in these 5 weeks is we're going to go through each week one of these genres, and in addition to one of these genres, each week we'll talk about the Gospels, because the Gospels are the primary way that followers of Jesus understand all the other genres. And the reason why this is so important is as you're reading through the Bible, a question that is good for you to ask is this: what genre am I reading? Because that helps you know how to interpret it. So today we're going to start with what might be the more complicated, maybe the most challenging genre, but to be honest with you, it's kind of my favorite because I'm super excited about this. So I'll say forgive me in advance for how excited I am about this. It is this genre, law. Some of you are like, I'm so excited that we're going to be talking about law. Some of you are like, that is the last thing I want to talk about. What is law? Law, we're familiar with laws all the time. Scientific laws, laws of nature, the law of gravity, traffic laws. We grew up in homes where our parents had laws or rules. Law is a set of rules with positive and negative consequences. We have it in the natural world, we have it in relationships with each other, and we have it in the Bible. Essentially, law is good. Because here's the purpose of law: to bring order to chaos. Essentially, law is good. And what we're going to be looking at is a set of laws that God gave to his chosen people in the Bible called the ancient Israelites. And it was a set of laws to help bring their chaotic world into order so God could have a relationship with them. And what we're going to see is these laws actually point to the character of God. In fact, here's our main idea for today. Through the lens of biblical law, we can see God's goodness. When you open up the Bible and you're starting to read the Bible, if you start from the beginning, this is where we find the law genre. It's the first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis through Deuteronomy. In Judaism, this section of the Bible is called Torah, which in Hebrew means instruction. Now, when I first started reading the Bible, I thought, well, I'm going to read it for the first time. I'll open up, I'll start on page 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And it's actually filled with stories. And there's a story of creation, and then there's Adam and Eve, and then there's Noah's Ark, and then there are these influential religious figures who don't really live a very good life, but they're trying to make their way through. A guy named Abraham, and a guy named Isaac, and another guy named Jacob. And then they have this big people group, and they end up traveling to Egypt, and then they become enslaved to Egypt. And then God raises up this great leader named Moses, and Moses helps free all the Israelites. And then they move into the desert. God goes up onto a mountaintop. Moses goes up on a mountaintop to hear from God. And God says, here are the rules that I want this group of Hebrew people to follow. And then for the next 3 books of the Bible, it's like reading the DMV manual. It's like, have you run across this as you're looking, well, I'm really into this, and suddenly, now I'm reading like California Penal Code all of a sudden. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I was into the stories. Why did you switch? In fact, the story of the Bible is that as the Israelites are leaving, they're leaving Egypt and they're heading toward Canaan. And in this period of time, as they're wandering around the desert, that's when these laws come in. And it's like God is saying, here's how I want you, this specific group, living, as opposed to everybody else in the world. Today, I want to share with you 2 ways that we can see God's goodness through the lens of biblical law. And I'm hoping that this will help you when you read this genre This will give you some tips of how to move forward. And then we're going to close our service by celebrating communion together and singing a song that's all about God's goodness. Here's the first way that through the lens of biblical law, we can see God's goodness. Biblical law points us to flourishing, not legalism. So I had a chance to meet with 2 lawyers in our congregation over the last couple of months. One of them is a commercial real estate lawyer, and the other one is a prosecutor for the city of Los Angeles. I met with them at different times, and here's what I said. I said, I'm going to be teaching about biblical law. Would you read all the law in the first 5 books of the Bible, and then can we meet and talk about it? And I figured these are lawyers. They love that stuff. They love reading about law. So I met with them separately, and I said, what did you think? And they both separately said, it was beautiful. And I said, tell me more about that. And as we started talking, we kind of saw how holistic and comprehensive God's laws for the ancient Israelites were. Let me show you a little bit of it. There's religious law. This is how to have a relationship with God, how to be forgiven by God. And in the law, there's actually a yearly calendar that they would follow that had different experiences of helping them remember their past and pointing to the future. There's agricultural law. There's laws about farming. There's laws about letting the ground go fallow, where you let the ground rest so that it brings better crops. There's laws about creation care. There's laws to farmers about how they have to make sure that they grow a certain amount of food for poor people who can't afford to buy it. There's criminal law. There's laws about theft, self-defense, murder, kidnapping. And the consequences all exist outside of a system where there's no jail. There's also family law, laws about marriage, laws about divorce, particularly laws that protect women from unlawful divorces. There's laws about sexuality for preserving family lines and protecting family lines from incest and from violence. There's laws about how families should be working together in childrearing. There's elder care laws. There's humanitarian laws, laws about warfare, war ethics, POWs. There's also laws about immigration and how to relate to foreigners. There's financial law about debts, interest rates. If you're unable to pay loans, then there's something called indentured servitude, where you would actually work, become enslaved to another person, but that had time limits and barriers to make sure that workers were not exploited. There's healthcare law about how to diagnose illnesses, how to treat illnesses. In fact, there's an entire chapter in biblical law about social distancing. And then there's real estate law. There's actually law in the Old Testament about encroachment, inheritance, and mold remediation. When you read the law, you go, wow, God's really thinking about all these areas of people's lives. And all of the 613 laws in the Old Testament seem to flow naturally out of the Ten Commandments. So it's like you have the Ten Commandments, and then you have these case laws. Here's how this commandment would be applied to this specific issue or this circumstance. Now, could all of these laws that are listed lead the ancient Israelites to legalism? Absolutely. Any legal code, any rule book can cause us to slip into legalism rather than seeing that law is designed to create order so that we can flourish, if it's done right. And that's what one of the writers of the New Testament says about ancient biblical law in the Old Testament. He says, we know that the law is good when used correctly. So as you read through biblical law as a genre, and you kind of get stuck. Uh-oh, here I am facing all these laws. Step back, take a big picture, and here's an action step for you. Celebrate how God cares about every part of our lives. You might say, well, God cares about my soul, but not my body. Yeah, he does. God cares about my body, but not my savings account. Yeah, he cares about how you steward money. Cares about your relationships with each other. Cares about your property, what you own. Cares about what you're leaving to your children and grandchildren. God cares about injustice in the world and wanting things to be made right. God cares about people coming into this country. God cares about all those things. And this Old Testament system of laws that God gave the ancient Israelites, it's a beautiful, comprehensive, holistic picture of God's love for us. Now, one of the challenges with ancient Hebrew law is you can't just pull it out and apply it today. It wasn't written to us today. It was written to those people. So you can't just grab it and apply it. It's a different time, a different culture, a different thing. But here is a question that I learned that has helped me. When I'm reading biblical law, I ask this question. What is the timeless principle here? See, law is a very specific application to a time and space. But behind the law, there is an idea, a principle, a goal. Let me give you an easy example from one of the laws in the book of Deuteronomy. Here's what it says. When you build a new house, you must build a railing around the edge of its flat roof. Now, some of you are like, my roof has got a peak on it, therefore this law doesn't apply to me. You know, some of you are like, oh, I have a prairie-style house, or I have a modern house. Mine is a flat roof. Does God care about my architecture? Is it like, would we see Jesus on the cover of Architectural Digest? When I read this, I was like, is God like really into railings? Like he's like, you know, look good on that house, a railing. Is it a style thing, is it an architectural thing? Well, fortunately, in this law, there's a reason given. Here's what it says. You build a railing around your flat roof. That way, you will not be considered guilty of murder if someone falls off the roof. What is God thinking about? Safety. In fact, here's what ancient Israelite homes looked like. You had a flat roof on the top, and in the cool of the day, the family would go up there and spend the time. God's looking and going, oh, that's dangerous. Here's the idea. The law is build a railing around your flat roof. The principle is God is good and cares about safety. And so should we. So when we build our homes or we build our buildings, when we build anything, we should be thinking, how can I love God and love other people by creating a safe place? So you kind of say, what's the principle? And not only does that help you when you're reading the law, but it also helps us in relationships with each other, because some of you are law people. You love laws, and you have a lot of rules in your life. Somebody nudged the person next to you because you're like, oh, that's you, honey. You love rules. You got rules for everything. If you are a law person, do the people around you a favor and say, hey, here's why I have this rule. Here's what's about. I've made this rule, but here's really what it's about. And if you're around somebody in your life that's a law person, try to tease that out of them. Just say, hey, you got this rule. Tell me where that's coming from. What are you aiming for in having that rule? Let me give you an example. My wife is a law person. She has rules for everything. And sometimes I don't even know why those rules are there. But she is a law person. I remember when we were coming to church and we had our little boys, and she had a rule, that when the boys go to church, they have to wear a shirt with a collar on it. And I was like, okay. So we had like a certain amount of shirts with collars on them, the church shirts. And my boys were questioning, why do we have to wear a collar shirt? She's like, because I said so. That's what it is. And I remember questioning too, and I pushed back on her too. I was like, honey, this is Southern California. People don't even wear collared shirts to work anymore. You know, we're right by the beach. I even got spiritual out. I was like, Jesus didn't even have collars on his shirt. And now we have to have collars on our shirts. So I was like, what is this about? And she said, you know what it's about for me? I'm a more traditional person. And I actually believe that church is a special place to be at that's very different than other places I go to. And I want to teach my kids that. And wearing a collar on your shirt makes it feel like they recognize that this is important to me. And I was like, I get it. I get it. This is a way that you love God, and this is a way that other people can love you. Now, I'm not saying we all have to start wearing collar shirts. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, some of you are like, oh, I'm wearing a t-shirt. What's wrong with, I'm not saying that. But it is, for her, this law was really an expression of loving God and loving other people. So what is the principle behind the law or the rule? And that can help us. Now, let me just point out that this is not always easy when we're reading the Bible. The law genre is the most challenging, and here's a few reasons why. First, the purpose of the laws is not always clear. Sometimes God just says things and doesn't give a reason. Like most of the kosher laws, like God said to the Israelites, here's the food you're allowed to eat, here's what you're not allowed to eat. And he doesn't say why. Most of us are like, well, it's for health reasons, but that's Californians. Everything is a health reason for us. Well, it's because of health reasons. We need to be healthy. But he actually doesn't say why. There's actually rules regarding blood. There were certain things you're allowed to do with blood, certain things you're not allowed to do with blood. He never says why. There's actually verses in the Old Testament about how and when and in what form a man should or should not trim his beard. I was thinking about that this morning as I was clipping away. And there's no explanation about why that is. In fact, sometimes it just ends with God saying, I am the Lord, which I think is just like with us parents. You know why I got this rule? Because I'm your mother. That's why the rule. So sometimes finding the principle is not always that easy. Sometimes we're just left with what it says, and that's what the Israelites had to deal with. Here's another reason why this genre is challenging. This was written to a specific people for a specific time. When you read Old Testament law, when you read the Hebrew laws, you're reading it into a world where slavery was normative. They couldn't even conceive of a world where there wasn't some form of slavery. Warfare was brutal, bloody, hand-to-hand combat. That's the world they lived in. A shame-honor culture. Most of it was written within a shame-honor culture. It was a very different culture than American culture. And sometimes when you read Old Testament law and you read the consequences, it's kind of like you're looking over the fence at a parent who's disciplining their child based on the rules of their house, and you're going, golly. And you kind of see God kind of getting angry with his kids, and you're like, ooh, and so when we read some of these Old Testament laws, it's like someone parenting their children. And that kind of relates to the third challenge, and that is there's different views of how biblical law relates to today. Even within Judaism, there are Jewish people who believe that the laws that are written in here really don't apply like they did back then. Most Jewish scholars believe that eventually when their Jewish Messiah comes, all of these biblical laws will change in some way, but they're not sure how. Because they have written in the Old Testament from one of their prophets these words. The days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the people of Israel and with the people of Judah. It will not be like the covenant I made with their ancestors. Which points us to the second way we can see God's goodness, because while the Jewish people believe that they are waiting for the Jewish Messiah to come, because when the Jewish Messiah comes, every one of these laws changes, we as followers of Jesus believe that Jesus is the Jewish Messiah, and when he came, we relate differently to that law. And that's the second way we can see God's goodness. Biblical law points us to new life in Jesus. By the way, I had a great conversation with a Jewish rabbi a while back about the Jewish law, and I was asking him some specifics about it, and he said, why are you asking? This isn't even for you Gentiles. None, only Jewish people. This was given to us, Jewish people, not you guys. Why are you so concerned about obeying this? It isn't even for you. Biblical law shows this movement toward Jesus. It's like the law was a school teacher or a guardian guiding and protecting the Jewish people through history so that the Messiah can arrive. And when the Messiah comes, he says, all right, now there's a new covenant. And we see that beautifully in the life of Jesus. In fact, let's jump over to that genre I was talking about before, the genre of gospel. Again, these 4 books in the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, are gospels, and they're summaries of the life and teachings of Jesus, and they're written to help people live for him. And in this genre, we see Jesus actually talking about ancient biblical law. And when he's teaching, a lot of the people in his day, a lot of the Jewish leaders in his day was like, so are you getting rid of the law? Are you saying we shouldn't follow the law anymore? Do you not care about this important 613 commandments that God gave through Moses? And here's what Jesus says. He says, don't misunderstand why I've come. I haven't come to abolish the law of Moses or the writings of the prophets. No, I came to accomplish their purpose. Now, do you know what he means when he says, I came to accomplish their purpose? We don't know. We're not sure what he means. Here's 3 ideas of what he might mean. The phrase accomplish their purpose or fulfill the law was actually a phrase that first century rabbis used a lot. When a first century rabbi would get up and teach, he would read a passage of scripture and he said, now let me fulfill this for you. And what that meant is, let me explain to you what it means. And so we actually have a lot of teaching of Jesus quoting ancient biblical law and then saying, let me explain what this means. So it could mean, I'm going to give you the true meaning of what these laws mean. Some believe that when he says, I came to accomplish their purpose, it means Jesus was saying, I am going to do what no Israelite has ever done. I am going to personally obey every one of the 613 commandments. And when I obey it, I'm going to transfer that obedience spiritually onto you. So when God looks at you, you have completed the law because I did it. And then some believe that when Jesus says, I've come to accomplish their purpose, it means all the prophecies, all the symbols, all the sacrifices, that Jesus comes and he fulfills all of that in his person. So when Jesus dies on the cross, he's like, I am the Passover lamb. I'm the year of Jubilee. I'm the blood on the posts. I'm all of these things, and I'm fulfilling them all. I actually think Jesus did all 3 of these things. Jesus brought in this new covenant. And then the people come to him again, and they're like, okay, I think we understand that, but we've got 613 case laws. Which ones are the most important? What should we really focus on? And Jesus says, 2. He says, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. And then he says this, the entire law and all the demands of the prophets are based on these 2 commandments. And you know what? These are the hardest 2. He's saying if you take all 613 laws in biblical law, you can back them all up to the 10 commandments, but then you can also back them all up to these 2 commandments. And Jesus is like, let's focus on these 2. You focus on these 2, you're doing all the rest in my eyes. Let me give you a little little side tangent here of just our communication style here at Journey. We go back to these two commandments almost every week. This is what we talk about a lot. You're going to see these two commandments come up all the time because of this purpose. We believe that if we can help all of us move toward loving God with all we are and loving neighbor as ourselves, then we're fulfilling all of what Scripture is talking about. So much so that, I'll tell you, behind the scenes, every message that we do really only has 2 points, and one of them is related to loving God, and one of them is related to loving your neighbor. We're trying to bake that into all the messaging. So let me give you an action step from this. This week, practice biblical law by loving your neighbor in one practical way. And let me give you some suggestions. Let's put them up here. Maybe it means forgiving them, or talking to them about God, or inviting them into the yearly rhythm of how we do church throughout the year. Maybe it means helping them in their yard, at their house with some kind of project. Maybe it means standing up for somebody that is misrepresented, somebody that's accused of something that's not right. Maybe it means confronting somebody about something that's wrong. Maybe it means coming alongside and helping a family get together or resolve some issues, work on their marriage. Maybe it means being more intentional about the people that you're surrounded with that are immigrants, that are foreigners or feel like foreigners in the country. Maybe there's some people that are just coming into the country that you could reach out and help get transitioned into living here in the United States or even here in the South Bay. Maybe there's somebody that owes you some money and you could forgive it. Maybe there's somebody that needs some help financially and you can help them. Maybe there's somebody that's just struggling with an illness or a sickness, and you can come along so you can take them to a doctor. You can help refer them to somewhere. You can come in when they're needing help. Maybe some people just need some help with some property. Maybe there's some problems with inheritance, or there's some taxation issues going on with real estate, or maybe you just tend to put your trash cans on their property all the time. And you know what that's called in real estate law? Encroachment. Don't do that. Maybe you'd be like, all right, I need to cut down that tree because it really is hanging over. Or where we built the fence was actually more on their side and not on my side. What could you do in some practical way when you read biblical law? You say, look, here's the idea. I need to love my neighbor holistically, comprehensively. Here's what we talked about today. Through the lens of biblical law, we can see God's goodness. 2 ways. Biblical law points us to flourishing, not legalism. It's not a checklist. And especially when we read biblical law, it's not a checklist for us. But it does give us a picture that God cares for our whole lives and wants us to flourish and experience His goodness in every area. And then biblical law points us to new life in Jesus. When you read that genre, say, boy, how is this moving me toward a relationship with Jesus? And how does this law point to this beautiful picture of experiencing a new covenant, a new agreement with God, where I'm invited to love God and love my neighbor by following Jesus? We live in a chaotic world. And God wants to bring order to chaos. And that's what the biblical genre of law is all about. I'm going to pray for us now. And then after that prayer, I'm going to hand it over to Alex at Torrance. And he's going to head up communion over there. And we're going to celebrate communion together. And then we're going to finish by singing a song about God's goodness. Let's pray together. God, thank you so much that you are good. And when we read through the Bible, sometimes it's hard to see in the details of the legal language. But God, as we read these laws, help us to to see you as a loving parent. We might not always understand why the rules are in place, but behind all of these laws and rules are your goodness. And thank you, God, that these laws point to Jesus and that relationship we can have with you. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. We're going to celebrate communion together now. And for those of you that might be new with us, we celebrate what's called open communion. That means you don't have to be a member of this church to participate in this. You don't have to attend here regularly. The only thing that we ask is that you are a follower of Jesus or you want to become a follower of Jesus. Because what communion is it's a symbolic meal where we take a piece of bread, we take a cup of juice, and we eat and drink and we say, Jesus, come into my life. Thank you for forgiving me. Thank you for healing me. Thank you for your grace and mercy. And so what we're going to do now, you have right in the pew in front of you, you have this small little cup. There's a piece of bread in the top and juice in the bottom. And what I'd like us to do is, this is, in Christian tradition, this is often a time of self-examination. So let me help you with that by saying, if we look at all 613 laws in the Bible, we would be categorized as lawbreakers. We don't do any of them. And in fact, when Jesus said there's really two commandments that it all rests on, love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, we're all guilty of not doing that. And love your neighbor as yourself. No matter how hard we try, we don't nail that one either. So what we have an opportunity to do is I want you to just take a few moments. I'd like you to open this up, take this piece of bread out, which symbolically represents Jesus' body. And I'd like you to just, in a confessional moment, not filled with toxic shame and guilt, but just an honest self-appraisal to say, God, I've broken the law. I'm not perfect. I'm imperfect. I need forgiveness. And if there's something specific in your life that you're like, Jesus, while we're celebrating communion, I want to give you this, go ahead and take a quiet moment and think about that. Jesus, when you were here on earth, you said, I didn't come to condemn the world, I come to save it. Thank you that we're gathered here today and we say we've fallen short of your rules, of your, even just the two basic rules you want us to follow. We can't measure up. But we thank you because we have forgiveness with you. That's not based on what we did, but based on what Jesus did. It's not based on our goodness, it's based on your goodness. And so today we eat this bread in remembrance of what Jesus has done for us. Let's eat together. And if you'd open up this juice, when Jesus got his disciples together before he went to the cross, he got his friends together and he said, take this cup. And he said, this is a symbol of the new covenant in my blood. Remember when he said, when that prophet said, there's a day coming where I'll make a new covenant? That's what Jesus was talking about. He said, there's a new covenant that's not based on the old one. It's not about law. Jesus came, and through his sacrifice, he has accomplished the purpose of the law. And so when we drink, we're symbolically saying, you did it, Jesus, and you did it for us. Thank you for your goodness. Lord, thank you for your forgiveness and the new covenant we have with you. We drink in remembrance of you. Let's drink. Let's close our service by singing together about God's goodness. Would you stand? And at the end of this service, if you'd like somebody to talk with or pray with, you can go down here to the cross after the service. If you want to know more about our church, you can head out to our connections area. But let's sing this song and let us walk away into this week with an overflowing sense of God's goodness for every part of our lives. Let's sing together.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. And all my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire, darkest nights. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. I have lived in the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, it's in your goodness. Your goodness is running after. It's running after me. Your goodness is running after. It's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after. It's running after me. Oh, your goodness is running after. It's running after me. Your goodness is running after. It's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after. It's running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, sing it out. All my life you have been faithful. Thank you so much for being here with us. We just hope that you guys hang out with each other, get to know each other a little bit more as you go from here. We will see you next week.